Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sig. This is SigPlaysTV, and it's time for the game review and recap of Call of the Elder God. And we got some stuff to go over. So, first off, if you haven't already, hit the like button to show a little bit of support for not just the channel, but the episode you are watching. If you haven't already, join the Cabal family by hitting the subscribe button and turn your notifications on so you get alerted for any updates, posts, or upload content that I make on this channel. Episodes like this, the playthrough series like Call of the Elder God, and any others. So, including community posts, live streams. So, let's dive into today's episode. If you haven't already watched the entire playthrough of Call of the Elder God, go ahead, click the card that's going to be up in the top right of your screen, and it's going to link you to the beginning of the playlist, and it's about 6 hours worth of content to watch. So then come back and see the review. Otherwise, let's dive into this. So if you're new around here, like I said, my name is Sig, and this is the Cabal Archive review framework that we judge each game that we do a playthrough series of. Just so you know, I'm going to have a few more of these reviews for other games I've played that either I have the playthrough series already done or I played it myself, and I'm just going to post it up here where my opinion's out there for what it's worth. I understand a lot of people may not agree with this, and I want to reiterate it very strongly. This is my opinion based upon my gameplay experience, based upon how I feel these 5 subjects were best portrayed to me during the experience. All right. So again, if you don't agree with me, comment down below what you would give each ranking, whether it's gameplay, story, world, presentation, respect for your time, and fun factor. You comment what you believe each of those are. So without further ado, let's jump into today's review and recap. Now, the recap of this story is very simple. You play as 2 characters, Evie and Professor Harry Everhart, and you are basically, it's a continuation of the game Call of the Seas. So if you haven't played that game or seen that, you're going to be kind of in the dark like I was during the series. I did not know this was a sequel. I did not know there was a game before this. I was not aware of that until about 30 minutes into the episode. So, but regardless, it does lean some help to understand what's going on in this episode. Otherwise, when you load into the game, it's going to ask you if you played Call of the Seas, and if you did not, hit no, and it will open up more dialogue inside the game so you better understand, which is what I did. So now I have a better understanding what happened. In the first one, spoiler if you haven't played, pause it or skip 30 seconds. Professor Harry Everhart's wife and Evie's dad and Harry went on an expedition, and they ended up, basically everybody died on the expedition except for Harry. Harry felt so guilty that Evie's dad died during that process that he created an insurance company called Project Hydrangea, and that is what was paying Evie and her mom out throughout their entire life while the dad passed away on this island because Harry felt very guilty. Upon doing so, Evie got educated and started studying into these weird, I don't want to call it a cult, but weird phenomenons that she kept experiencing. She passed out and lost consciousness for a long time and woke up in a whole different country. She was studying, had notes on stuff she doesn't even remember. And then Harry also has been studying pretty much the exact same stuff for the past few decades. Now, there's something very important to know about this game, that the game does in fact take place in the 1950s. I believe it's 1956 or 1957, maybe 58, one of those 3. Regardless, it takes place roughly 30 years after Call of the Seas takes place, where his wife and Evie's dad passed away. Throughout this whole thing, you see Breakout, you find out, no surprise to anyone, the German Nazis are involved in it, and they're trying to basically figure out how to use this alien technology to do mind swapping. And there's a great engineer from the alien race that explains to Evie, who basically explains to Professor Everhart that these creatures, Yatharians, I'm going to mispronounce that, Yatharians, something like that. I do apologize for mispronunciation. It is what it is. They can transfer their own minds to other bodies that they're connected to, which Evie is one of them. So she was able to go back in time to like the Mesopotamian era and find out so much more about this. So with that said, they found out that they can pilot this spaceship after going to this radio tower that was a Nazi bunker, and science experimentation happening down in the bunker, which led them to the ice cave. The ice cave led them to this spaceship. Spaceship led them to the island in the Pacific. Then they discover that the villain in all this, Caleb Bowen, was trying to use a mind switch device to swap minds. I chose to have Professor Harry Everhart stop it, and he discovered his wife is connected to the Elder God, which there is no real name for him. It's just he goes by many names. So, and that's kind of the gist of it. I left a lot of details out purely for it's like the understanding that if you've not played this game yet, I don't want to spoil everything. I gave you some key parts. So if this was a spoiler, I said spoiler like 3-4 minutes ago. That's on you at this point. But now it's time to review the game. And I truly, to the bottom of my heart, mean this, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. So ranking this is going to be quite easy for me. I'll break it down every segment like we do. Or that I'm going to do, because it's technically only episode 2 of the reviews. So let's break it down to each category so you have a better understanding of how these categories will work. All right. So the first category, of course, is gameplay. This is important because it's the overall experience of the game that we're playing. It's the title being gameplay. I have a list of like notes I asked myself throughout the gameplay and throughout the whole playthrough series in each one of these categories. So, for example, category 1, gameplay, I asked myself 5 questions throughout the entire experience, and that is this game fun? Are the controls responsive? Are the mechanics engaging? Does the gameplay evolve? And is or in this case, is the puzzle design satisfying? All right. The full question technically is combat, platforming, puzzle. It's a long thing. Anyways, it's the puzzle design satisfies. Here's the thing. Overall, this is an amazing game. I love this game. I love this game. Okay, I really do. I do have a few detractors for the game, and it's very minor things. It could be because I played on keyboard and mouse. I don't know. That skews things a little bit. Like most would honestly agree, is keyboard and mouse kind of skews your overall review because most games are designed with the controller aspect in mind on how to play versus keyboard and mouse. So I kind of discount that, but also take that into consideration on my score. I'm a little bit more lenient. But anyways, is the game fun to play? Hell yeah. Freaking love this game. Is the controls responsive? Yes. Are the mechanics engaging? Yes. Here's my takeaway for these 2 sections, okay? I jacked my mouse sensitivity to 100% in like episode 1. And it, other than like my point of view from the character's perspective, of course, it didn't, like, it moved hella fast on that. But if I wanted to like flip over a document that I was inspecting, or if I was trying to move an item that I was working on, it moved really slow. And then for like that decipher machine, it didn't move the way I was hoping it would. But again, those are very minor detractors, but they do detract from the overall game. Does the gameplay evolve? Yeah, it went from a simple, for example, one of the first big puzzles you do is turning of the statues out in the garden, and then it evolved to, hieroglyphic type puzzles where you have to figure out what each line represents, how to get to the number 5, how to figure out the constellation, to this giant resonating alien tech that has to make a specific sound in certain angles. Like it was ever evolving, and it's amazing for that feature. That was an amazing concept to come up with. The puzzle designs were very satisfying. Were they difficult? yeah, the last couple were, but I mean, we stumbled into the answer for one of them ass backwards, literally just like dicking around with method that I do. And I think that's episode 4, in the ice. So, like, they were very satisfying. So, I can't give the gameplay a perfect score again. I don't think there'll be really any game that has a perfect score. That's not true. I can think of a couple. Oh, that's for another episode. So for this, I'm going to give it. Let's go with a 19 for the overall score of the game. Right? I think that's fair. So we said 19. If I didn't say 19. We're doing 19 because I think it should probably. I had like a total brain fart just then. I'm like, like, is that really what I meant? That mean? Oh man, sometimes I surprise myself. Okay, so next up will be the story and world. This is going to basically be how everything looks, how the story plays out, and here, I'll just tell you the questions. I don't know why I'm trying to explain this to you. I'll just tell you the questions I have listed down. Story and world, the 4 questions I asked myself is the story engaging? Are the characters memorable? Is the world building interesting? And did I care about what happened? Yes, 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 yes. All the way across. Like, the story and world in this was fantastic. I love every part of it. I enjoy the graphics because it wasn't over the top. It's very simplistic, very clean. Like, you guys see the snow, you guys see the dust particles. The story was ever engaging and ever evolving. I will remember the characters in the story, though I may not be able to pronounce Evie's full name. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce it. You want to hear me? Watch episode 1 where I tried several times and just butchered it. I said we're calling her Evie because that's what the game said. The world building is very interesting, from traveling back in the time to traveling into the future for them, which was 2006 was the future date that they had set. So it was just very, very fun, very cool. I enjoyed it. The entire story itself, like, I cared about Evie. It made me care about Professor Everhart. It made me care about what happened to the dad, what happened to his wife. So I did care, and for that reason, like, I truly could give this a 20. I think I'm going to give it a 20 because, like I said, it hit all the markers for me. It was yeah, it was a perfect storyline. Everything came into play, from the things you took down in your journal, to the devices you used, to the puzzle. Like, it all was fully incorporated with itself and just felt like a perfect story with it, with the ebbs and flows of story, character arcs, and with the story, character villains, and like, I don't understand the word story a lot, but the character arcs and like finding out their past and finding out how they're connected. Like, to me, that it felt like a really good book. So for that, I'm giving it a score out of 20. And again, if you don't agree with it, let me know down in the comments. But I feel like it was an exceptional storyline. So presentation is kind of ties into story to a degree. The questions we had to ask about is, how did the following look, behave, sound? And that is like, how did the graphics look? What was the art direction? Does the art direction make sense of all of it? Was the sound design really good? Was the music really good? Did it add or detract from the story itself? Voice acting, the performance of those actors. Here's the only thing I cannot judge on, and that is the music. All right, and that is purely because we did not have any of the music for the game playing, and that was to simply avoid any possible DMCA strikes from YouTube. I didn't know if it was copyrighted or what, so rather than run into a potential issue like I have so many times in the past, especially like a year or two down the road, I don't want you guys to miss out on that, so I muted the game's music. But I have listened to it, and it definitely does add to it from my understanding. I only listened to it for about, I think, like a minute or two at the beginning. But again, I'm not going to judge the music, so that's out. Presentation wise of this, the graphics were amazing, the art direction were amazing, the voice acting was amazing, the performance were amazing. Was it perfect? No, it was damn near perfect, and the reason why I say that is because Professor Everhart Harry, for the most part, I'm not saying he sounded monotone, but there wasn't a lot of, is it called inflection, pitch, tone change? His voice sounded very similar throughout the whole thing. He didn't have any like moments where he sounded surprised or he sounded shocked or he sounded like he was in grief or upset. Like he had an outburst in episode 1 after we found him pass out. That yep, that's a good performance because he sounded mad. But from there on out, he kind of was a docile character, voice wise. So I would like to see, or I guess hear, more emotion from him, because Evie's character, the lady that voiced her, did phenomenal work. Like, it is perfect. She sounded amazing. You could feel, she made you feel the emotion she was feeling. If she was scared or tired or exhausted or shocked, all the emotions. She made that very, very well presented, felt, and heard. But again, with that said, I'm not detracting too much from it. It was still an excellent voice acting, and the graphics were again amazing because if you watched any of it, when the characters talked, their mouths were moving as though they were enunciating their character letters, which is really good because in a lot of games like that, their mouths just kind of move up and down, similar to just like you hear and it doesn't look good. So the fact that their mouths were moving in a natural state, there we go, it was moving in a very natural state, added a lot to it. So with that said, this is probably going to be one of the higher ranking games that I do, if I'm being honest. With that said, yeah, let's go with 18. 18, like, again, it's not perfect. There's still some stuff to it. And again, the music I haven't done, so I really need to do the playthrough with the music, even though I wanted to. 18, we're just going to go with 18. Yeah, 18. Yeah, sounds good. Again, that's excellent scores, okay? 8, if you look, do I have it down here? So basically 18, 19, 20 are the top 3 scores you can give, 20 being perfect, of course. 19 is like, it's not perfect, but it's damn near perfect. 18 goes, there's some flaws, that's fine. All right. So next one is the respect for your time. If you watch the Crash Bandicoot recap and review, you would have known this is a huge factor for me, because if I feel like my time is being wasted or manipulated or taken advantage of, it really detracts from the overall enjoyment of the game. So let me break down the 5 questions I asked myself when reviewing this type of game, or any game, and that's, is there any unnecessary grinding? There was no grinding at all in this game, so perfect. Is the content padded? No, not at all. Are checkpoints fair? Yeah. I mean, there wasn't a lot of checkpoints at the end of the chapters, which felt like they were nicely transitioned from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. The only one I had was like the prologue to chapter 1. That just felt like one big chapter, and I looked into how many episodes and chapters there were of this, and everything says 6 chapters, 1 prologue, but I don't feel like there was a prologue moment. I felt like that was just a drawn out chapter 1. So, but still, checkpoints are fair. It added to the story, so I'm not upset about it. Does progression feel rewarding? Yeah. I mean, at the end, I was very confused at why there was all these glasses that I couldn't use and manipulate the light. So that kind of like irked me, but that was more of like a OCD factor, or ADHD factor, whatever you want to call it. I didn't like I couldn't make them all connect. So whatever. Does the game waste the player's time? No. This game is very, very straightforward. A to B to C to D to E to F G. Like, it made it very straightforward. There wasn't much deviation at all from it, so um, I had no qualms whatsoever about it. So I think, for respect for your time, this deserves a perfect score because, again, there's no waste at all whatsoever. It's very aware. Is that the best way to put it? The devs made it very much straightforward, and that's what I like in this type of story game is there's no extra nonsensical crap added to the story that doesn't need to be there at all. But at the same time, they added little teasers and key moments that make you go, oh, there could be a third one. There could be an additional game after this, which there absolutely looks like there's going to be a game after this because the way it ended was just a massive cliffhanger. So, respect for my time, perfect score, 20. I'll give it. Again, if you don't agree with that, that's perfectly fine. I understand. I'm just saying these are my perspectives of them. And then fun factor, very simple 4 questions I asked myself through these reviews is, did I want to keep playing it? Absolutely. I actually was like, I need to go finish up the story. I want to keep playing. This is amazing. And then, did I think about when I was not playing? Again, yes. Like, I enjoyed it. I was telling the wife about it. I was telling the kids about it. The kids want to play it to see if they can figure out the puzzles. Would I replay it? Yep, I would. Well, let me correct that. I'm going to replay chapter 6 because I want to see Evie's in-game scene. So that may be an episode that I just kind of plug in as well. So be aware of that. Did it create a memorable moment? Yeah, it makes me actually want to go play the first one. And now I have this whole series bucket list or wish list, sorry. So from the studio that made it, I have it where like any game they come out, I'm going to be alerted now. So I'm excited for I'm excited for their games. I'm excited to see what else they have, and I'm going to dive down into it. So with that said, those 4 questions, the replay is a yes/no feature because yes, I would replay this, but right now I want to replay it for the 6th chapter, and that's about it. I'm going to help the kids when they play, so I guess does that count? I'm going to give it a yes/no. So this won't be a perfect 20 score, but it's going to be a 19 because I feel like that's like very accurate for this. So no, let's see what the total ranking would be, right? So I gave it 19 for gameplay, 20 for presentation, 20 for story and world, 18 for presentation, 20 for respect for our time, and a fun factor of 19, which gives us a 96. This is the first game that's going to be a legendary banger. So that's exciting. I said this in the first review. I don't see myself giving a perfect 100 on any game because there is 0 game that's perfect out there. But this may be as close as it gets because it has all the factors I care for a game. Again, these are my opinion. This is my review system. And I think I truly believe it's earned a score of 96. I could give it, like I said, presentation, I could give it a 19 from 18 and make it a score of 97. But either which way, I think this is going to be as near perfect of a game, especially like a recent release game. This came out in May of 2026, May 12th, 2026. So I have yet to play a recent, like in the last 5-year game that I would even deem close to being perfect because there's always bugs or issues or glitches or just detractors. Games like this make it very easy to fall back in love with it. So again, recap. Gameplay rating 19, story and world 20, presentation 18, respect for your time 20, fun factor 19, giving us a grand total score of 96. Sneaking in to being a legendary banger game. So I would absolutely recommend you playing this. So there's, of course, two ways you can play this, right? You can go buy it. It's worth the money. Absolutely. I would pay the money for this. Or you could do like I did and how I stumbled upon this, because I did stumble upon this, which was Game Pass. It is on Game Pass right now. At the time of this recording, it is on Game Pass. So you could download it and play it that way. That's how my kids are going to play on the Xbox. So it's included with your subscription, or you can pay for it if you're not paying for the subscription of Game Pass. So definitely recommend it. Check it out. Play it. Let me know what you think about it. And let me know down in the comments. Was my score way too generous? Were you all like, bro, 96? Bullshit. It deserves like, and then you tell me what score you would give it. I feel like, again, for me, my opinion, it has earned the score of 96. I love this game. I cannot wait for the next one in the series. I'm going to go and get Call of the Seas to play that one and see the connection between the two, because again, that one takes place in 1930. This takes place in 1956, 57, 58 time frame. So I absolutely love it. I would highly recommend this to anyone and everyone, especially if you're not wanting to play those multiplayer games and you're wanting to get out of that online connection. You still technically have to be online. I understand. You do have to be online to play it. But you don't need other people. You don't need other players. You do this 100% by yourself, and it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's engaging. It's the puzzles are awesome. They're amazing while still being difficult and tricky, to the point where you're like, I want to just look it up. I looked some up. I'm okay with that. Love these types of games. Love it. Can't wait for another one. So, but with that said, it's time to wrap this episode up. Thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out, chilling out, and relaxing with me. If you enjoy these type of game reviews, let me know down in the comments as well. If there's a game you want me to either review that I've already played, or to do a playthrough to review, comment that game on any video, not just this one, on any of my videos. You can comment what game series you want me to play, and I will play. Keep in mind, I do play on PC. I do not play on PlayStation, so my games are very restricted to PC and Xbox. Therefore, doing so many exclusives like Wolverine, though I do want to play it and I will get my hands on it eventually, it's not going to be a game that I can play, unfortunately. So apologies for that one, or future apologies for that one. But otherwise, thanks so much for tuning in and hanging out, chilling out really with me. I do greatly appreciate. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Join the Cabal family by subscribing to the channel, and of course turn your notifications on for any new game reviews, playthrough series, YouTube lives, YouTube shorts, or post in the community section. Which go check out the community section. You're missing out. Otherwise, thanks so much. Until next time, as always, please do take care, stay safe, stay healthy. Have a wonderful rest of your day. My name is Sig, and this is SigPlaysTV Game Review Edition. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.